Namaste, angels. This is the weekly general reading for the period of what is now today. It's 12:12 a.m. So exactly 12:12 a.m. on Sunday, February 2nd, 2020. Or actually, the way that this date falls, it has fallen this way for the first time in 900 years, they say. It is 02022020. And that kind of number combination has occurred, according to the news, in 900 years. So we have that piece of trivia. And it's also the Groundhog Day. So I guess in a few hours, we'll be finding out whether or not the groundhog sees its shadow. It is, of course, Super Bowl Sunday. I have not yet made a prediction. Maybe I'll do that later. I guess I haven't been moved to do one. Not since the Eagles that time. And what else? Oh my goodness. It's the presentation of the Lord. So that's what we're going to talk about on the Christian calendar. Also, tomorrow is the feast day of Saint Blaise. Now, I've talked about Saint Blaise a lot. And I think that on the Taurus astrological reading specifically, not the last one, but the one before that, so I guess it'll be about a month ago, I had made some predictions about earth signs and water signs for one thing, and we have the King of Cups showing up in the position of earth. But I think I also talked about them being able to finally speak and like speak their piece or say what they need to say. And at the time, I was also feeling that some maybe having some sort of ailments. So it was a week where I was also talking about illness. It was particularly in females, older females. A bunch of you got back to me that, yeah, you were experiencing that. I think I got really, really specific on that one and said it might even be like a mentor or a teacher. And somebody commented exactly that. Yes, my professor just passed away, because I got into all of that. So that reading, again, like I said, I believe it was not the one last time, but the one prior to that. I was feeling something about February 11th. And I think I may have said that February 11th is the feast day of St. Blaise, because I was like, February 11th is something in my mind. And I think St. Blaise is what I came to. I remember talking about him. In any case, February 11th is indeed a feast day. It doesn't fall into this week's reading. It'll be next week's reading. But it's the feast day of Our Lady of Lourdes. So one of Mary's feast days, which also makes sense, you know, being stuck in my head that I knew the day was important. But I think I said St. Blaise. So I just want to correct that. And more importantly, Monday is the feast day of St. Blaise. So I'm not going to talk about what his feast day is about, you know, or anything like that. But to give you this little, you know, bit of information, if you are interested in having your throat blessed, you can go to your neighborhood Roman Catholic Church, where I know in the United States, I can't speak to outside of the United States, but I'm sure other places too. If you're unsure, call your local Roman Catholic Church. They are blessing throats if you're interested. So if you have a throat ailment, or if you've been having trouble, you know, with your throat chakra, maybe saying what you mean and meaning what you say, or getting up the courage to put the words out, excellent time to go have your throat blessed in honor of Saint Blaise, the patron saint of throats. But we will talk about, again, February 2nd, the presentation of the Lord. And that is the only Christian feast day or holiday that we're going to discuss this week. Nothing on the Jewish or Hebrew calendar or the Islamic calendar. On the planetary calendar, we have a couple. So February 1st, Saturday, let's just throw this in because there was a situation, or an event rather. Actually, these are all back to back. January 31st at 2:59 a.m., Ceres entered Aquarius. So that asteroid, Ceres, entered Aquarius at 0 degrees. In the last week's general reading, I gave a website where people could find out where all the major asteroids are located in their natal chart. So like Ceres and Juno and Pallas and Chiron, all of that. So if you're interested in that, check out last week's reading. February 1st at 8:42 p.m., so yesterday, the first quarter moon occurred in Taurus, 12 degrees Taurus. Monday, the 3rd, So the same day as the feast day of St. Blaise in the throats. Listen to this one. At 6:37 a.m., Mercury, the planet of communication, enters Pisces and the love. So that was probably what I was seeing in the Taurus. I'm pretty sure it was Taurus where I saw all this and spoke of all this. In fact, somebody commented, a gentleman commented on there, something about, like readers or psychics or intuitives or however he worded it, like always attributing something to the future or whatever. And I said, like, I don't say stuff that's just to be saying stuff or like to pull stuff out of my ass. The things that I say tend to come true, and you can feel free to comment and ask or, on this thread. And, he saw the number of people who were commenting that everything was coming true for them. Yeah, I don't talk just to be talking. If I say something, even if I don't know why I'm saying it at the time, it tends to mean something. So now it's definitely all coming back to me, specifically, or particularly at least, could be for the other signs, but particularly for Taurus, something going on with a water sign, very, very likely, and or a loved one. Not necessarily romantic, but of course that's a possibility. And communication may be very important, but with the planet of communication, the ruler of the signs of Gemini, the great communicator, and Virgo, Mercury, entering Pisces, the sign ruled by the planet of higher love, unconditional love, Neptune, should aid in those communications. But we'll learn whether or not it's expected to in a moment when I read about what it means for Mercury to be entering Pisces. Also this week, February 7th at 3:02 p.m., Venus enters Aries, 0 degrees. We'll talk about that too. And lastly, February 8th at 12:59 p.m., Juno goes retrograde. 21 degrees Libra. This is interesting too, because Aries, we've got that here. Venus enters Aries, and we are beginning with a major arcana card 4, the Emperor, which for me represents the planet Mars, ruler of the signs of Aries and Scorpio. It's Venus that's entering Aries. We have also here the Queen of Autumn, which often equates to like Venus to me, right? Like Mother Nature. Queen Mother Earth, Gaia. And right underneath the Emperor, we have Major Arcana card 8, Justice, which represents the planet Venus and the sign Libra, which she rules. And that is exactly where Juno is going retrograde. So we have all this Venus energy between her entering Aries and Juno going retrograde in a sign that she rules, Libra. That's probably why these cards have come out like this together. So we'll get more into that in a second. Let's find out what it means for the presentation of the Lord to be celebrated by Christians around the world. For that, I've gone to franciscanmedia.org, the story of the presentation of the Lord. At the end of the 4th century, a woman named Etheria made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Her journal, discovered in the year 1887, gives an unprecedented glimpse of liturgical life there. Among the celebrations she describes is the Epiphany, the observance of Christ's birth, and the gala procession in honor of his presentation in the temple 40 days later. So we have this number 4 coming up a lot already. It's the 4th century, 40 days after being born. Here's a presentation. And under the Mosaic law, a woman was ritually unclean for 40 days after childbirth when she is to present herself to the priests and to offer sacrifice, her purification. Contact with anyone who had brushed against mystery, birth, or death excluded a person from Jewish worship. This feast emphasizes Jesus' first appearance in the temple more than Mary's purification. The observance spread throughout the Western Church in the 5th and 6th centuries. Because the Church in the West celebrated Jesus' birth on December 25th, the presentation was moved to February 2nd, 40 days after Christmas. At the beginning of the 8th century, Pope Sergius inaugurated a candlelight procession. At the end of the same century, the blessing and distribution of candles, which continues to this day, became part of the celebration, giving the feast its popular name, Candlemas. Right, so that's another name for it. In Luke's account, Jesus was welcomed in the temple by two elderly people, Simeon and the widow Anna. They embody Israel in their patient expectation that they acknowledge the infant Jesus as the long-awaited Messiah. Early references to the Roman feast dub it the Feast of Saint Simeon, the old man who burst into song of joy, which the church still sings at the day's end. And I think these cards here could be illustrating that too. The patience, right, for this major event, the birth of, like the Prince of Love, the Prince of Peace. Moving on to the planetary calendar, again, on February 3rd at 6:37 a.m., Mercury enters Pisces. For that, I've gone to www.tarot.com. Mercury in Pisces, creative, intuitive, magical. When Mercury enters the fantastical sign of Pisces, our dreams become more vivid. I saw something about dreams here too. Yep, I knew I saw it. The Nine of Cups. Now's the time when your dreams come true. Don't worry about how this will happen. Just give gratitude to God for all that you have and all that's still to come. That can be what the sun in reverse, our overall energy here, is about too. The sun in reverse, in a general sense, can say to you, like even if you don't have everything you want, there's definitely things that you can and should be thankful for. And then that's going to, help you to continue to reap blessings too. I just had a conversation about that earlier because I had actually somebody that I've known all her life, her mother, come to me about healing for her. And, I can do it. I can do it and was going to do it. I was going to make the full investment on behalf of her. But the reason why I ask for other people is because it's not so much that I, can perform like miracles or something. It's more so a matter of other people giving their energy and investing their faith in the healings that help for it to work. The scriptures are very clear about it. Just the matter of prayer, where two or more gather in my name, there I am too. And that's how you bring things about. When other people put, their energy, when we combine our energy together, we together make things happen. I'm not just going around, performing works on my own. So, of course I would have if nobody stepped up or anything. But I was talking to a client earlier because several people did pray for the young lady, which I asked, and I greatly appreciate that. But I received only one donation toward any healing for her. And so I was talking to the person who donated it. And that person who donated it donates all the time to like every single person. And you know what? It comes back to her and for her and on her, however you want to look at it. She's just recently got a new house with her divine masculine. She went through the whole thing with the divine masculine that had to be replaced. She got a walk-in that was better than anything she could ever imagine, and now they are about to walk down the aisle. In fact, they were going to get married today, but it was all too rushed. It was a very tower kind of, let's get married and let's run. The same thing that I've been seeing in the cards recently. So anyway, it pays off. The blessings come back to you. You're not just like giving of yourself and you're being drained while other people are, prospering or profiting even. That's not the case at all. This is how the law of like abundance and attraction work. It's part of a cycle. So that's one of the things that this card can mean. All right, let me get back to this. But what I was reading, sort of also seeing these cards, out of the side of my eye, was telling me a separate message. Okay, so when Mercury enters the fantastical sign of Pisces, our dreams become more vivid. Our thoughts are looser, and our instincts are especially strong. Mercury is the mental planet that rules our thoughts and communication style. While this focus on data and details doesn't naturally align with the Pisces widespread, all-inclusive style, there are so many ways to enrich our lives during this transit. Pisces thrives in a world of magic, fantasy, and idealism. While Mercury is here, our minds are more open, and we can find solutions in places that we've never even considered before. Mercury in Pisces shines a light on the furthest reaches of our minds to illuminate fresh ideas. The sun is also about illuminating things, right, and helping us to find clarity. So these new ideas is contributing to that. Creative inspirations also, and different ways of thinking. Our minds are never open as wide as they are during Mercury in Pisces. Pisces thrives in the most vast spaces that you can imagine. Think about the unbelievable depths of the ocean or the infinite reaches of space. These are Piscean realms. So while Mercury moves through this sign, our minds are expanded to the same level of vastness. We can see things we couldn't see before. God says in the scriptures, say, let those who have eyes see. So it's about your third eye being open and expanded. And it sounds like that's what they're talking about too. It's no surprise that some thoughts we have during this transit are beyond words, because we're also going to be able to understand things that we couldn't understand before. Our ability to communicate becomes fuzzy here. And some of the things that are happening in our minds are just too big to find the words for. This is where our intuition comes in. Pisces is the most intuitive sign of the zodiac and reminds us to pay close attention to the feelings that we have in our minds. We know things in ways that we can't explain because our subconscious is being triggered more than usual while Mercury is in Pisces. Of course, there are also some cons to Mercury being in Pisces. Miscommunication is possible, and we may have trouble staying on track. We might forget critical details, show up late for meetings, or say things that don't quite make sense. This is because we're speaking from the heart and gut, not our brains. Right. Yeah, that's true. There's two sides to that. It could be very positive and beneficial to be speaking from the heart and not your brain, or it could go left. Finding the words to match our feelings can make for some seriously stop and start conversations. But overall, Mercury's time in Pisces can bring amazing new opportunities our way. There are no limits during this transit. We're open to all possibilities so that we can easily embrace the things that are suddenly inspiring us. The level of promise and potential is high here because we're not focusing on the things that we can't do, but the things that we can do. Now, this transit goes from February 3rd, 2020 to March 4th, 2020. Like exactly a month, basically. Mercury will enter retrograde while it is in this transit. So I'll go ahead and read what it means for Mercury retrograde to be in Pisces. When the planet Mercury goes retrograde, it appears from our view here on Earth to be moving backward through the sky. Therefore, the things that Mercury rules, communication, travel, details, all start to get a little messy during Mercury retrograde. When Mercury retrogrades in the sign of Pisces, though, there's a definite Piscean spin on its effects. We find our energy depleted and show up late for work or appointments more often than usual. Because communication is already unclear with Mercury moving direct in Pisces, we can expect even more misunderstanding during a retrograde here. But it's certainly not all bad. Mercury hibernating in Pisces leaves more time for daydreaming and fantasizing, helping to rejuvenate a stale imagination. And even though it's not the best time to make any key argument or presentation, because everyone has the attention span of a gnat, using this time to polish your approach will have you ready to state your case effectively once Mercury turns direct. And it goes on to talk about if you were born with Mercury in Pisces. I'm not going to read that, but if you want to, again, I got it from www.tarot.com. Now, Venus in Aries, daring, passionate, adventurous, February 7th, also through March 4th. Many astrologers consider Venus in Aries to be a difficult placement because Venus's calm, soft sweetness just doesn't align with the rambunctious and self-focused style of Aries. While Venus normally thrives on cooperation and two-way partnerships, her placement in Aries triggers a time to practice self-love, which is what this card is about. It looks like a masculine and feminine, a male and a female, and a, loving embrace, a tight hug. But it really is one person's inner masculine and feminine coming together in a harmonious way. King of Cups is also a card about balanced masculine and feminine energies. That's why the King of Cups, even when it is a male and or masculine, is somebody who is in touch with his feelings, yet also they are in check. Behind this, we also have upright healing sounds. So this brings together more of this sort of air and water feel. And maybe what we need to, or on what we need to focus in order to find this balance. This may be how we achieve it, through healing sounds. Healing sounds can be conversations for me, hearing the things that we need and want to hear or speaking them. It's also very much about binaural tones, which are, like one of my favorite means of meditation and working through, any concerns that I have. They have binaural tones for like any and everything you could imagine. Some people like guided meditation or yoga. You may have, sitting before somebody that's playing music for you, or that's speaking, or whatever, all kinds of different healing sounds. Or you could be listening to your own music, and you don't have to be sitting Indian style, or in a prayer pose or something like that. You could be jogging through a park with your, AirPods on, and that's how you're hearing the music, whatever. Okay. So, while Venus normally thrives on cooperation and two-way partnerships, her placement in Aries triggers a time to practice self-love. It's about putting yourself first, trying new things, and discovering what will satisfy you most. After all, it's only when you understand, love, and embrace yourself. Isn't that funny? How the cards knew what I was going to read today? That you draw the best things into your life. And that's what Venus in Aries is all about. When Venus moves through Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, it offers us all a chance to make a fresh start in matters of love, money, and self-awareness. Old patterns and lackluster relationships have no place anymore once Venus enters Aries. Instead, we thrive on new experiences and adventurous encounters, and we're more spontaneous in our pursuit of pleasure. Aries is a highly independent sign that is largely focused on itself and its own interests. Therefore, love and relationships can sometimes seem selfish or imbalanced during Venus's transit through Aries. But for the single lover, this can be an amazing time to identify your own needs. And to explore your options. Venus in Aries ignites a courageous fire under us. That makes us more confident and assertive when meeting and interacting with others. And for those in relationships, exploring each other's personal desires and experiencing new things together is a surefire way to reignite the fire between you. So while it seems like there's a very self-centered air to Venus in Aries, it's really about enhancing your love life by way of yourself. In terms of money, Venus in Aries is a time to invest in yourself, not on major purchases or long-term investments, but with exciting things that boost your confidence and your zest for life. A new outfit, hairstyle, or an active weekend getaway will revitalize you and add to your fulfillment. Beware though, we want instant gratification under Venus in Aries, and you could go overboard on your spending without considering the consequences. Overall, Venus in Aries isn't a time to fall deeply in love or to make long-term commitments. Think of it more, neither is Mercury retrograde. So as we, go beyond this week, this will have, a stronger meaning. This week is safe. Next week, we begin to approach those dates. After Valentine's Day, like right after Valentine's Day, is when Mercury goes retrograde. Overall, Venus is in Aries isn't a time to fall deeply in love or to make long-term commitments. Think of it more like a test phase where you get to taste different flavors before you settle on just one. It's about living in the moment without fear from the past or concern for the future. It's a time to go after what you desire and not settle for anything less. And it goes on to talk about what it means if you were born with Venus in Aries in your own natal chart. So again, I went to www.tarot.com for those of you interested in reading the rest. And on that note, I'm going to go into the dice. We are beginning with Eat Cake. So for anybody celebrating anything, congratulations, happy birthday, all those things. Eat cake. Massage. And try again. Spirit says it's 50-50. So something could go either way, or maybe, again, we need balance, we need harmony, balance, masculine and feminine energies. We need to share the load, share the burden. One person can't feel, burdensome upon another or feel burdened by another. We need 50-50. Cocktail. And dirty movie. For me, this tends to be like Skype and FaceTime and texting and maybe sending pictures and, all that kind of stuff. All right, so for the cards, I really wanted to do, my old traditional spread with these two decks. And it's the second week in a row that this has happened. I was moved I got to do this spread first. So I'm going to try to be as quick and concise about this one as I can. So for the fire signs, we've got here Major Arcana card Death in Reverse. Death in Reverse means that, yes, some changes coming through, some transformation is going to impact your life, but it's not going to be as intense as it could have been were death showing up as a message upright. For some of you, this may involve, this is the fire signs, but it can also involve a Scorpio. We have Scorpio in part ruled by Mars, the planet that also rules the sign of Aries. And we have Death, which represents the sign of Scorpio, sitting next to the King of Cups. So he can definitely be, and above the Tower. The Tower, for me, can also be a very death-like card and sometimes have a Scorpio and or fire feel to it for me when I read it. We may have some fire signs clinging to relationships despite the fact that they are unhappy because they don't want to let go of the familiar. They don't want to be alone. Some people would rather stay with somebody that makes them miserable. or hold on to those memories in the past rather than move forward, because the change is difficult. So this, with it being in reverse, the change won't be as, again, intense as it was upright. Although with it sitting here atop the tower, even though this is representative of the air energy, the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, this is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We do have the tower here, and the tower is about something happened abruptly, unexpectedly, and or a revelation. All of a sudden there's clarity. All of a sudden there's this vision, fantasy, maybe like what we just read about with Venus entering Pisces. So you could all of a sudden, like maybe something that you didn't understand before, you couldn't get clear on it, it wasn't making sense to you. All of a sudden, boom, very unexpectedly, I got it. I understand this now. Is it possible for you air signs? In terms of work, same thing. May have a job that you're not very happy at, and perhaps you're still there. It's just time to give consideration to, what you want to be like. Why do you feel that way? You think you're always going to feel that way? Would you stop feeling that way if you left the job, or if you made some other sort of change? Then, those are the things that you may want to consider. In terms of your financial situation, there's nothing to be afraid of. You may just want to be like a little, mindful of your spending, prudent, as they say, in where and how you use your money, but no need to be paranoid. If there is a downturn in your finances, that's not going to be permanent. This is a reading for a week. This is temporary. Again, it's death in reverse. It's not going to be something that hits you over the head. So, don't worry about it. In terms of health, it is important to keep your stress levels down, or at least, manageable. Maybe with it crossing the 10 of Wands, you have to keep that in mind too, the need for balance in terms of your health, and to not be stressed out because you feel burdened or burdensome, because that can lead to other, stress-related health concerns like high blood pressure, or, headaches and stroke, which is a silent, sort of thing that comes from stress. Different autoimmune diseases will get sparked by it, or, hormones get unleashed, like that really nasty one, cortisol, that, gives you a big belly because you've been worried about stuff. So we want to be mindful of that. In terms of spirituality, just, and not just spirituality, life in general, especially with the sun also showing up, albeit in reverse, as our overall energy, you're going to want to keep your attitude as positive as you can about, just life in general, and roll with the punches, allow the changes to come and just flow with them. Earth signs, again, your card is the King of Cups upright. He may indeed be a Scorpio, with it sitting right next to death and crossing the tower, which again has a similar energy for me. Whether he is or not, whether it's even a he or not, or a masculine energy or not. Again, this is about somebody who is generous, or an energy of generosity. If it's representing an energy rather than a person, it can be an actual person in your life, since it's a court card, the King of Cups. But it can be representative of the energy of generosity, of genuine, pure, true love. Like I was speaking of it being connected to the energy of Pisces and to the planet Neptune. That is the planet of higher love, of pure love, true love, unconditional love. Like the deepest parts of your subconscious, no matter what you're saying out of your mouth. I don't even think about her. I can't stand her. I don't care about him. I haven't thought about him in years. Yeah, you can say whatever you want out of your mouth. I'm talking about the depths of your subconscious. The real, genuine love is what the planet Neptune and the sign of Pisces represent. So that can be what this King of Cups is here for. The King or the Queen of Cups in particular, for me, can often be representative of parents. So this may not be something romantic necessarily. There could be a relationship with parents, maybe particularly an air sign parent, or Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and or mate or friend or whatever relation through which There's a few possibilities here. There's the potential for argument or, again, misunderstandings, maybe like what we read about a moment ago. I've already forgotten which transit that was attached to. Oh, the Venus and Aries, right? Yeah, I think it was that one. So there could be misunderstandings. Oh, the Mercury in Pisces too. They said could get funky, right? The communication. Yeah, so it could be connected to that. Doesn't really matter what it's connected to. There may be some misunderstandings. These are fixable. I'm getting that these are fixable, especially with the Three of Wands here that I selected to clarify the tower for the air signs. So it may require some patience and slowing down. Let's slow down. Let's speak about this. Let's get our wits about us and let's talk about this like mature adults. It may require something like that. For some of you, you may not have seen your father in a long time or at all. Maybe you don't know him. And there could be something like this, an opportunity to meet. And that's the change or transformation. Yeah, the death is in reverse. And I said it's not as intense. But I think that I'm getting it's not as intense in terms of, this is not something that's going to like, wipe you out and make you miserable, but it is unexpected and emotional for you. And it may have been like a long time coming, something for which you've been waiting. The Three of Wands can be representative of patience or need for patience. At work, you earth signs may have somebody, I mean, you guys, are the workers of the zodiac in general. Personally, for me, I feel like especially Taurians and well, maybe Capricorn first and then, Taurus and then Virgo, perhaps in that order, just in my opinion, but whatever, all three of you, you have like the most tremendous work ethic of all of the zodiac. Not just in my opinion, but, is attributed to you guys in your sign. But there may be someone, even in that consideration, despite that you already got it going on in terms of work, there may be somebody at work who is really like rooting for you. This person, they could be like a boss or, somebody that's in a position to really do something for you. And this person is team you. So that's definitely positive. And if you have been wondering how they feel about you on your job, you're sort of confused about it. That could be the Piscean energy that's confusing you. Know that you are appreciated, you are respected, and things are likely to improve for you where you should be able to see it more for yourself. You're going to get some clarity with the Sun showing up here again, albeit in reverse, and with the King of Cups showing up. That tends to be what he means. Also, with regard to love questions, King of Cups, awesome news, good news, very good news on its way to you. There's not too many cards in the deck that are as loving or that are more loving than the King of Cups. So if you are single and looking for love, it can definitely indicate that somebody who is just like balanced. Remember I was talking about how balanced he is, how he's in touch with his emotions, but he's not all watery and, he's not an extremist on either side. He's what we all want to be in terms of his emotions. And it's balanced, masculine and feminine energies. So you could be meeting somebody very, very soon, or somebody could be headed your way very, very soon, who is this balanced type of person and will help to balance you out or help you to, mellow out and chill. Of course, even with cups, anybody can be any kind of way. There's nothing that's like written in stone about any of the signs. We all have positive, we all have negative. But the King of Cups upright is a super positive card. And the characteristics are going to be positive in terms of love. On your finances also should be good, but there could be some of us who are trying to like avoid the reality. So again, that could be of our financial situations and not like look at it. I mean, maybe if I ignore it, it'll go away or it'll be fine or I won't have to think about it, whatever. We're like, in the clouds in terms of our finances. So you may need to get aware of what's going on with your finances, maybe like balance your checkbook and stuff like that. But other than that, it should be, again, positive energy there. And there is room for often for us to be generous with the King of Cups showing up, and or if we need it after having checked out our finances, if we need it for somebody to be generous with us. Okay, there is that potential there. And like I said, in terms of work, you got somebody rooting for you. So it could be even with that, like they're being generous, maybe with their time, with their position, with their expertise, with whatever it is. In terms of health, King of Cups is positive, but it tells us, it reminds us to not like be a know-it-all, like to trust you. If you've selected a healer and you've put your faith in a healer, whether it's a medical doctor or whatever you're into, like let them do it. If you have a condition or a situation that you're trying to deal with, let them, do their thing. But he can also be about good health news in terms of, in a general sense, especially male ones, right? Male and or masculine ones. But it does remind us to like take care of ourselves and, nurture ourselves and everything, just like the Queen. And what else do I want to say? Maybe that's it. Let's go on to the air signs and the Tower. So as we read about, and I pointed out to the fire signs, new ideas and clarity and information could come to you like that, right? Very unexpectedly, blink of an eye, all of a sudden there's a revelation or there's information that's actually coming to you from somewhere. And it may be something that you've been trying to figure out for a while, so it did require patience, but that information is coming in now, like the ships that are coming in here at the bottom. In terms of finances, for us, it's not a good time to be risky. It's not a good time to be paranoid either. It's never a good time to be paranoid. We need balance, right? So, you can spend some money and stuff. And you can even, make some small bets or buy some scratch offs or whatever. But it's not a good time to, for risky investments, right? To go to, so like watch extremes. This is about balance again. We don't want to be an extremist and, go too hard and stuff. With love, it can be an indication of a relationship that's about to end. That maybe that's a good thing. With death sitting up here, and again in reverse, and death in reverse meaning that we're clinging to a relationship that we need to let go of. That could be the case here, but there's a few possibilities with these cards, with these combinations. So let me try to go through them because it's a general reading, and we could have people listening from like all the different groups. So because the King of Cups is also crossing the Tower, I'm feeling that, again, it can be indicative of arguments coming up. And maybe that's the Mercury in Pisces, right? Mercury is the ruler of the sign of Gemini. This is the air. So maybe that's what's like encouraging or driving that. You may find yourself like arguing or, fighting more often than you normally would with a partner or a friend or relative or something. And it could be, like a real argument, a serious thing, or it can be something that's not so serious and even kind of petty, So it'll be up to us to try to maintain that positive attitude that I talked about, like maintain our confidence and wits about us. You're in control of your own life. You're the leader of your own destiny. The King of Wands showing up here, albeit in reverse. And he is on top, the Queen of Cups too. So again, this is going to be about nurturing and relationships and our emotions. And things can get touchy. But there's room for new beginnings here. And there's room for things to work out well and for us to move on from them one way or another. Again, very possibly involving not only an air sign, but maybe more specifically a Gemini ruled by Mercury. And a water sign represented by the Page of Cups. water sign that is perhaps younger than you, or is, again, perhaps your child, or you're the child and it's a situation with your parents or somebody who is like a mother figure or a father figure to you. I mean, I could go on forever, but a Leo may also be involved. And you may not be using your strength to its fullest capacity. Like you might have a lot more power and endurance and things that you could be drawing upon that you are not. Even in romantic relationships, there could be an age gap. One could be younger than the other. The Page of Cups would suggest perhaps it is the water sign, if a water sign is involved, that is younger. But, you know, that's not necessarily the case. Okay, so there could be these arguments, and you're going to have to decide, you know, what you want to do about them. They, you know, you can take steps to fix them. You may want to try to schedule opportunities to communicate, because what the Three of Wands can mean is imbalance. Again, with this imbalance. All right. So in this is particularly in romantic relationships, especially the Three of Wands can say that your relationship will go well if you and your partner view each other as equals. So if there is that sort of balance and reciprocity in your relationship, if like you're carrying, you know, some sort of weight, burden, it's unequal, things aren't, you know, evenly distributed, there's no respect, there's no equity, then it may be time for you to move on for the relationship. And maybe that's about what the debate is. Or maybe that's about what you've recently come into clarity. Like, ding, light bulb went off. I need out of this relationship. I've been clinging to it, even though it's not serving me a purpose. That can be the case for somebody. All right. If you are single, but have recently met somebody with the Three of Wands showing up here upright, it means they hold you in extremely high regard. All right. Really, really are into you. And will treat you nice, right? Be generous with you, loving with you, caring toward you. If you are single and feel as if you haven't met anybody and don't have any prospects, and you're just like, you know, why am I not finding anybody? I'm a wonderful person too. It's probably that you're spending too much time on work and career, which sort of brings me full circle, because that also may be about what the arguments are for those of you who are arguing with your partner, that you don't have balance in your relationship, too much work, not enough play, right? For either or both of you. And all that work is going to bring stress upon you. And sure enough, that we'll use that as a segue toward the water signs. Some of these water signs definitely feeling burdened and or burdensome, or perhaps like they're carrying the full load of a situation or relationship. And the Ten of Wands upright does tend to mean that a relationship is in a difficult place. And it may be, to put a positive spin on even a difficult place, it may be with the Ten of Wands specifically, and also maybe in consideration of the Sun in reverse as our overall energy, that your partner is having a rough time, a rough go of things. And since this Ten of Wands, which reflects or represents fire, is crossing the position of fire, partner may also be a fire sign or have strong fire in their chart, because we're sitting next to more wands here too. But whether they are or not, they may be who's going through the difficult time. It may have absolutely nothing to do with you. Although, of course, you're being affected if your relationship is suffering. But it may have nothing at all to do with you. It can still mean, though, that you're going to have to find time to pause. Whatever is going on, still find some time to pause and examine your relationship together, or maybe, or on your own. If you can't get it together enough to even have a conversation or to sit down and look at what may be your problem, then have to elect to do that for yourself or not. And we just read about that too, right? About the self-love aspects of all of this, and the way to have a healthy, loving relationship with another person is to first work on this part with ourselves. So that may be what some of us have to do. We got to be careful of the Piscean energy and not pretend that everything is fine if we have issues. If you're single and you're looking for love, no need to panic. It means that your time is coming around, but it might not be the best time this week to do that. This week, you may want to instead spend time on yourself. In terms of work, you may be feeling burdened at the job, right? Like your individual workload, at least, is it's too much right now. It's overwhelming. It's just like unrealistic for one person to have to do all of this. Ask for help or ask questions. Don't be afraid to. Don't hesitate. And remember this, with this King of Cups sitting above this wand, there could be somebody at your job too who is very ready, willing, and able to help you, and is rooting for you. You may want to ask a boss or a supervisor, like, how to prioritize. What should you be doing first? What should you try to complete first if you have too much on your plate? And certainly, if there's anything you can do to avoid putting anything new on the plate until those other things are finished. If you are looking for a job, you're out of work, and it's been difficult, definitely keep trying. There's something there for you. I don't know if you're going to get it this week, you're going to find it this week, but definitely keep that positive attitude that I've been telling one of the other signs about, and keep trying, because there is work for you that you will find in the near future. Did I talk about everything in terms of all the different areas? I don't think I said anything about health for the water signs. So, of course, with the Ten of Wands, stress maybe taking a toll on you in an emotional sense, but even on your body. Something may be physically happening because of that stress. So, again, take some time for yourself, even to actually rest, relax, and maybe even sleep. And some of you may need, vitamins, supplements, maybe specifically like D3, B12, like the kind that help us with our energy, and like the building blocks of really everything, cell production. You need that B12 for. So yeah, I'm feeling sort of specifically things like that. And we also had massage with the dice. That could be something good for you guys too. Massage, a break, even a vacation, something that's going to allow you to lay down these burdens, even if it's temporary. Something to help you to get back to feeling yourself. If you feel that you're having an actual problem, some sort of physical problem that is persistent, or maybe even if the fatigue you're experiencing, or to the opposite, this inability to sleep is persisting, then you may want to, seek some sort of treatment. There's somewhere to find it. Even for those of you who are like, well, I don't have insurance. I mean, I know that everybody lives in different parts of the country, and in some cases the world, who's watching me. I've got tons of clients in Asia, believe it or not. So things work differently. But here in the United States, we have the marketplace, and we're all supposed to be able to get treatment and help, whether we have insurance or not. So I hope that you get it. You get help. I don't know who I'm feeling or what I'm feeling exactly. But, this, like I said, like some of these things are silent. Some of these illnesses, like stroke and stuff, and stroke is also tied to B12. If you Google that, you'll see that a lot of people who have had strokes, they were B12 deficient. And so, I don't know. I'm just feeling that that's a serious thing. To pick it back up again, 10 of Wands also means that we're at the end of a cycle. All right. So to get back into a more positive energy, we're at the end of a cycle, and whatever this thing that is that we're experiencing that's been making us feel overwhelmed and or burdened and or burdensome upon someone else is about to come to an end. Further to all of that, I wanted to do my spreads. I did not get a chance to do them. I keep saying I'm not going to spend so much time on these, but I lied. I will try again with the love reading. I'm also going to do, or try to do, the astrological readings, especially the earth signs, because I'm committed to doing those, but I should have done them this past Monday, and I have been so busy. Again, this is positive too. I have now 3 clients that not only suddenly got engaged, but have set dates at this point. So like I said, one was supposed to get married originally today. That's how fast it was going, but she's postponed it to April. She's doing 4/4/4, because the year is also a 4. I have one that's getting married on 9/19, which is one of the days that I have said, for me, based on like my calculations and stuff, is a possible date for the for Jesus's birthday. I have it like 8/22, which is the feast day of the queenship of Mary, the celebration of the fact that she's a mother, and not only a mother, but the mother of the Messiah. And that's the last day of Leo and the first day of Virgo. And so for me, it brings together the Ra and the Horus. So it's always been a possible date, based on the other things in the Bible and the scriptures and stuff too, that like the fact that Mary was eating dates, so it tells us it was the summer and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of my possible dates. 9/11, which is the Ethiopian New Year. To me, that makes totally perfect sense too. Early Christians, we especially in Black communities, we do all this stuff about talking about how we weren't Christians until slavery. That's not true. It's not true. There's Christians. There were Ethiopian churches, Christian churches, built in like the 1100s, that are still intact, and there you can look them up too. There's a big cross in the ground. I watched something recently on like the History Channel. It was pretty amazing. They showed all these beautiful churches. So in any case, and they found like early Christian martyrs in Africa in like the year 100 something, also. So in any case, it's the Ethiopian New Year. To me, that date makes a lot of sense too. And I had like narrowed it down to that date for other reasons as well. And then 9/19 is also like a logical date for me. And of course the 19 also connected to God the Father. So there's that. Whatever. I think it's beautiful that she's getting married on 9/19, whether it's Jesus' birthday or not. And the 3rd is July. So in addition to that, I also had a client who needed me to come and sort of like pray with him and do healing with him in person because he's having surgery. So I had that. I had my regular life. My daughter went back to school this week, so my schedule changed with that too. I've had a ton of readings to do. I'm not complaining. This is all, like I said, this is all positive, happy stuff. And people, wanting energy healing because they have these like relationships that are coming together and stuff. It's like, well, now they want a coupled healing or a coupled reading and stuff like that. So it's been pretty pretty overwhelming for me too. But, and again, in a positive sense, you know, the sun. Okay, so further to the masculine, you've still got this Two of Winter, which is about a decision that you have to make that you're avoiding because of what others might think about your choice, right? You wanting to take the path less traveled, as they say. You know, this is the path that's in your heart, that your heart's pushing you toward. But the one that society would have you take, you know, you're worried about what people are going to say if you don't walk that one. Procrastination and worrying about what others will think is blocking you from making a decision. If you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your inner guidance. Perhaps it has something to do with that. Like I said, potential May-December relationship. Somebody is younger than the other, or maybe somebody, you know, that a relationship that you had that other people feel you shouldn't let go of. And so that's why you're holding on to it, whether it's a friendship or it's a familial relationship. And it's like, well, you can't stop talking to your mother, or your sister, or your brother. Yes, you can, if you have to, if it's toxic, if it's hurting you, if it's making you ill, sure you can. And it is crossing the 10 of Wands. That relationship can be a burden on you. If it's a romantic relationship, well, you can't end the marriage. You know, it's a sin to get divorced. No, it's not. It's, you know, that's in some man-made whatever. The scriptures, if you're really religious, say what two souls God has joined together. Let no man tear asunder. Not what two souls man has joined together. So if you need to get divorced, then you get divorced. So whatever the case is, but maybe you're avoiding something. You're avoiding letting go of something, again, because you're worried about what other people will think. Just to give you some examples. Or in this case here, you're holding on to this burden because what will people think if I put it down? Maybe they'll think I'm irresponsible, or, you know, that they can't trust me to manage something or handle something, or that I'm weak or whatever. Don't be worried about that kind of stuff. And you do instead what's in your heart to do. Or you know, you check it out in like a few of your senses, your heart, your organs, your heart, your mind, your soul. What are they? Your intuition. What are they all telling you to do? For the feminine, it's the Ace of Spring. We just saw one here too, right? Yep, there it is. Ace of Wands. So there is some, again, new beginnings wanting to happen. And it is in this suit of Wands. So maybe particularly for the water signs, because they're at the 10 already. After the 10 is the 11. Or the 1, depending upon how you look at it. In either case, it's an ace, and it means it's a new beginning. A wonderful opportunity presents itself. It may have come as a surprise, but you'll still want to leap into action and to passionately pursue every possibility. That's another 2 for the masculine. So you had the 2 of Winter already, 2 of Swords, and now you have the 2 of Earth, or Pentacles. And it means, again, perhaps you have a decision to make, maybe about something earthly, some earthly matter, and or this can be about the need for balance, which we've also been talking about the whole time. Or, again, feeling like you have too much going on, burdened. Too much going on at once. There's a need to make a decision. Consider a more playful approach. For the feminine, now we've got another 2 as well. It's a really nice one. I said another 2 because, again, an ace is an 11 or 1. But in the case if you look at it as an 11, that's a 2. The 2 of Water, or Cups, a relationship that continues to grow closer. Forgiveness and the positive resolution of a conflict. Maybe whatever's going on here for some of us. And from the Universal Love Oracle for the masculine, Trilogy of Light. This 2 about balance, like mind, body, soul, or masculine, feminine, universe, or God, the Trinity. There's a few ways to look at this. 3s are about abundance, creativity, the creator, creation, all of those things, growth, expansion, and also, again, the need for patience. And lastly, feminine for us, Creativity. So it's not a 3, but it's the equivalent, and it's our version. And this card very much for me about the energy of Pisces, right? With all these this water here first and foremost, and these translucent fish jumping out of the water, and air signs. So this can be very Venus and Pisces, but also fire signs. So this can be the Aries here too. And of the air signs, most specifically Aquarius, with this star over her third eye chakra. The moon in the back is also very Piscean. Pisces in the tarot represented by the moon. But of course, the actual moon, or Earth's moon, rules the sign of Cancer. In any case, this is about creativity, co-creation, so people working together in these partnerships to bring about something, create something, even if it's new energy, new positive energy, movement. Wands are about movement. Fire is about movement, growth, expansion, even if it's like slow and steady, like it may require some patience. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the weekly reading. If you did, please actually like the video, click on the thumbs up button. I appreciate it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please consider becoming one by hitting both the subscribe button and the bell button. And if you would like any services from me, reading, energy healing, merchandise, or just to chat, I don't charge for that. I know a lot of people do, but I do not charge for that. You want to be my friend, all the information for any and all of that will be in the description box. I am on social media. All that information is going to be there. And look forward to, stay tuned for the love reading, because I will be back. Namaste.